gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies. Look at
So 10x your thinking, right? So Tom, you actually put this tweet out. It said, quote, "Words are used to express thoughts, not create thoughts. Mastery of writing or speaking does not make someone a great thinker." So this is the kind of point of departure for me, which is how do you become a great thinker? What is your response to that, or what are your views?
Meditate. No, listen, I say that, with some sarcasm, but Erik is exactly right. I mean, someone asked me, do I meditate? And I said, are you asking me if I become aware of the voices in my head, try to understand what they are, try to rid myself of the controlling voice of the world that's trying to push and pull me around, and find my inner essence and listen to that inner essence and live intentionally and consciously? They said, yeah. I said, I meditate all the time. That's what I do. I hear voices in my head and I ask myself, is this voice moving me forward to be a better me? Is it making me creative, compassionate, curious? Or is it the control freak in my head that wants everything to be certain, that wants me to compare myself to other people, that wants me to be comfortable in everything that I do? Which voice is it that's talking to me right now? And what kind of emotional effect is that having on me? And should I listen to that feeling, or is that feeling irrelevant? See, most people are going through life right now and they're listening to their feelings. And if their feelings feel uncomfortable, they're not doing it. Hey, I want you to give a big speech to this big audience. Oh, that doesn't feel good. No, I really don't want to do this. Hey, I think you should invest in this to grow your business. Oh, I don't know. I could lose my money. I don't think I want to do that. If you don't become aware of what's creating those feelings, then you'll never be a great thinker, because being a great thinker is understanding how to move yourself into a better place in the future that has the impact that you want, that's allowing you to be free, to be childlike, to be curious, to have fun, to be compassionate, to actually make a difference. Now, you might say to yourself, I don't know, Tom, I think most people are kind of like that. They're compassionate and they're curious and all that. No, they're not. That's why you can sit on an airplane and watch some guy drag another human being off the plane and nobody says anything. That's why you can see a flight attendant take a dog and shove it in the overhead bin and nobody says, what the hell are you doing putting a dog in the overhead bin? We're becoming very, very passive about life and about things that we're seeing. So if you want to be a great thinker, meditate. Understand these voices in your head, understand these feelings. And if the feeling's stopping you from being creative, from being curious, and from being compassionate, tell the feeling to fuck off and go do what you know you should do anyway. That's meditation.
Oh, love it.
That's my definition. Anyway, I don't know if the Dalai Lama would like it.
Okay, cool. I want to play a quick game. So you got two choices. Choice A. Okay. There's no right or wrong answer here, but here's choice A. In the next year, you're going to add $1 million of bottom line profit to all of your businesses. How many of you? Oh, right. But you got a 100% chance of doing that, right? 100% chance. How many of you would dig that? Right? Pretty much everyone. Okay. If you're not putting your hands up, you're in the wrong room. So choice B, you can add $1 billion to the bottom line of your company, but you've only got a 10% chance. How many of you would choose choice B? Okay, so just let me do this again. Sorry, choice A. Go. Put your hands up so I can see them. Choice B? Okay, so it's split. But The thing is, we would rather choose option B in most cases than choose option A because you want the upside. But in reality, in other words, you're not going to play it safe because you want that upside, right? True or false? So interestingly, when it comes to thinking big, and this is a little game that Asher Teller plays when he's consulting with corporates, he says, no one is ever, like your boss will never tell you to choose option B. He'll always tell you to choose option A. Right? Because it's, I want the profit, dude. Thanks very much. Tick the box. He's not going to take a 90% risk, to your point, right? So, the point here is around incremental thinking versus thinking big. So Tom, if you could take this one, like how do we avoid the trap of incremental thinking, which I think a lot of us do on a day-to-day basis, versus say thinking big? How do we avoid that trap?
Well, understand what your intentions are. If being intentional, Look, I work with a lot of these, and you all know them. I don't have to say their names out there, but the biggest brands in the world. And to Matt's point, do you know why they don't innovate? Because no one can guarantee to them that it's going to work. Right? But they talk innovation all the time. So here's the question. Is their intention to create, to innovate, to add value, to experiment, to grow through pain? If that's their intention, then they'll take B, right? They'll go for it. But if their intention is, no, I don't want to give a bad quarterly report on the phone next month, then they're going to pick A. And then they wonder why somebody blindsides them with an innovation or value or creativity that they didn't see coming. Because their intention wasn't to be creative, to live fully, to let people be autonomous and to create. Howard started the whole conversation out with hire people that can see what you can't see, that can create what you maybe can't create, that are going to move you into the future. So your intention is what moves you. And trust me, if you fill your life with people that match your intentions, they will bring to you what you need to manifest those intentions. And if the intentions are to play it safe, you'll bring in people that will help you play it safe. You'll bring in consultants to help you play it safe, all kinds of advisors and family members, because they love that, because they know that that's what you want. But if you bring in people that, will support your intentions to grow, to create, to be innovative, oh man, the pie's the sky. There are so many things that need to be improved in life right now. I have no idea why nobody's working on them. Actually, I do have an idea, because they want to stay safe. That's it.
Howard, you want to jump in?
Let's ask the audience.
Cool. Nev?
Who invented the digital camera?
Kodak.
Correct. In 1976, Kodak invented the digital camera, and they decided to not put it into production. And in 1996, the board of Kodak looked at the digital camera and decided not to put it into production. Now, Tom will know that on his side of the world, if you walk through Harvard University, the ugliest building on campus is a big gray concrete building built in the shape of a camera that Kodak donated in the late 1980s because they were one of the largest companies in the world. By 1996, they had 120,000 employees in that business. They had invented the technology that would change photography forever. And today they're dead. And it is so hard for us to go and disrupt our own businesses because it's the most difficult thing in the world to do. But look what Netflix has done in the world and how they've disrupted television. If you were today Naspers, the owners of DSTV, what would you do? Do you go destroy DSTV, your cash cow? Do you close up? You say you have to, but it's a big source of revenue. It's a tough decision. No, but this is part of our problems, and part of our problems sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get so emotionally invested in the sort of products and the businesses that we're doing. Sometimes we don't know when to pull the plug to shoot the golden goose. Because there's so
Howard, listen, Howard's exactly right. Apple is the most valuable company, or it teeters around with a bunch of other, right? Amazon, the most valuable company in the world. No one really even understands how that happened. And how it happened was really simple, right? The iPod was about, I don't know how many millions of dollars. It was growing straight up, 8, 9, 10. It was just growing. And Steve Jobs saw a Nokia telephone that had 4 songs on it. And he looked at everybody in the room and he looked at his engineers and he said, no more iPod development. We're done. Everything's going to this new thing. It's going to be a phone with music on it and all that. That's it. End of story. End of story. We're not doing any more development on the thing that's going straight up. I can see the future in this Nokia phone. Interestingly, Nokia couldn't see the future in their own phone. Howard is exactly right. We don't want to lose what we have. And it's a shame that we can't move into the future without losing what we have. It's usually when we lose what we have is when we're allowed to move into the future. Somebody divorces us, we have a heart attack, whatever. And now it's, okay, I've got to move into the future. I lost everything I had. I feel free. Why? Why do we need to do that in order to move into the future? Don't wait for a crisis to happen. Create your own inciting incident right now. Don't wait for it to be thrown at you. If you see the future, go after it. Like Howard said, leap of faith. No bridge, no rickety bridge. There's no bridge. You just jump and you build your wings on the way down. And I know everybody's going, but what happens if I hit the bottom? Hey, you hit the bottom. You're going to hit the bottom anyway.
Yeah, thank you. That's so true. I mean, so when I first started my business, just a personal anecdote, it was an innovation consultancy. And it was the hardest thing in the world to sell because everybody loves to talk innovation, but they hate innovating. They really hate change. And the moment I realized that, I pulled the plug on that. It was digital kung fu. So if you listen to my podcast on iTunes, it's powered by digital kung fu. It's just like a legacy brand that's now collecting digital dust. But hey, it was the digital kung fu show back then, you know. But I pulled the plug on it and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to build a media company. And here we are today. And it's that same thinking, at least I can, share personally from my side. So just one more question, and then I want to wrap up or take some questions rather from the audience. So extreme success, like by definition, is outside of the realm of normal action. And I think execution is everything, right? Like to your point around 3 a.m., it's execution, right? Time is the one thing that everyone in this room, right? Everyone on YouTube, everyone that's on my podcast, Post the Effect, everyone in the world, whether you're Bill Gates or whether you're Matt Brown or Superior who's thinking about starting a business, time is the one thing that's equal to everyone, right? And so if you work with that opportunity harder and faster and better than anybody else, and that's how you win, right? At the end of the day. The only challenge comes in how do you take massive action in that context? Because you can't, to your point, you can't be the only one at 3 a.m. burning the midnight oil. Makes sense. So it's this analogy of a lake. Imagine a lake. If you throw a small pebble into the lake, it's going to create a small ripple. You throw a giant boulder into that lake, it's going to create a bigger wave, right? So how do you create waves as you kind of embark on this journey of scale? I mean, I'm going to start with you, Tom. I mean, you've built massive companies over in the States and sold them also. I mean, what have you learned around massive action and enabling that as part of a business in the context of scale?
Yeah, I mean, given that time is the limiting resource, your time, the most important thing I learned was not to do anything or have any of your people do anything unless they can show you the value of that activity to the people you are trying to serve or to your own well-being. If you can't find that value, it's valueless. I don't care what it is. Outsource it. Don't do it. Why would you want to do something that you can't find value in or enjoyment in? But that's what happens with leaders of businesses, and especially small businesses. They start doing all of these things that they don't like doing because they say, well, I'll have to pay somebody. Good. Pay somebody and get out into the marketplace, take a customer to dinner, watch them do their work, try to find out how you can improve their life, find the way of bringing insights and creativity and passion into your business. Take that stuff that you don't like doing, let somebody else do it. There's no value in it. Why do it?
Cool. How do you interpret?
Yeah, I think one of the lessons we have is don't sell your own time. Don't become a doctor or a dentist that gets paid per hour, because you cannot scale that sort of business. You have to have a business where you're not selling your own time. That's one of the key secrets for anything relating to scale. And traditionally, scale meant more branches, meant more employees, and that's not what scale means anymore. You know, you think of WhatsApp, which was sold for $16 billion. And it was one of the largest companies in the world. If you look at the time it was sold, 450 million users and about 36 billion messages a day. And you know how many employees they had?
9.
55.
Really?
55 at the time. You know, and just for this, I out of sheer, we were having a discussion on the weekend over dinner, because something came up and we want to know, for example, Pornhub. How many people use Pornhub every day? 86 million people, of whom most of them are sitting in this room today. 155 employees. We scale in a different way today. We scale platforms. We don't scale people, and we don't scale branches, because that's an old economy. In the way we should be thinking today is, how do you build something with few people, with scalable technology that can really take you into the future?
Cool, amazing. I was going to take some questions from the...
Mate,
oh, do you want to jump in? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Sorry, Erik, go ahead, mate.
I think one of those, so I want to latch back to the previous question and this one. I want to put them together. I think part of the problem with innovation is that it's often difficult to think big. You know, like, one of the best things you can do is to expose yourself to other entrepreneurs so that you can actually get a feel for what big is. You know, like when I entered the coaching space, the very first coach I ever spoke to was charging 500 Rand an hour, right? Like, that's where your expectation is set. That's kind of where this game is played. And then later on, you meet someone who's doing $25,000 for 2 or 3 hours. And so as you go through this and as you get exposed to more and more people doing what you're doing, I think your idea of what is big also expands. And so it's very important to actually surround yourself with those people who are doing bigger things than what you are doing. So that's number one. And then number two, again, massive action, such a sexy term, right? But while you're waiting to take massive action, there's someone consistently executing. There's someone focusing on the small things, and they know that those things accumulate, because massive action is about what? It's about quick results. You know, it's about bigger and bigger. But consistency and small and focused, and that gets you the same result. And then while you're doing that, the big, massive opportunities will come, and you'll take them because you're prepared for them. But just to think about that all the time, like, what is my big, massive step going to be? You're wasting time.
Yeah. Which is your premise around accretion, right?
Accretion, yeah.
Yeah. Did you just give us the headline of what accretion is? Because it's pretty much the term used to describe what you just said.
So accretion essentially is just your intentional focus on the small decisions and the small actions that you take every day. And knowing that ultimately over time, everything accumulates. And if you look at your life today, it's a direct result of the actions and the decisions that you've taken over the years. And so if you know that these things will accumulate over time, why not just make the better decision in the moment? And I think for me, it's always just been about intention. How intentional are you with where you're putting your time, your energy, your effort? And then being okay, playing the long game, knowing that these things do accumulate. It's just inevitable. Like, look at your life. It's inevitable that these things accumulate.
My name is Erik Kruger. I'm a personal performance coach working with executives and entrepreneurs. I think we touched on something that is not touched on frequently enough. And hopefully what came through is that ultimately, even though we're working towards scale, it's about being human in the process. And that we can't neglect the human component of building a big business. I think what really stood out for me is just coming back to belief and how important that is. And belief in yourself, but also belief in the people around you, and ultimately how they believe then in you.